Hi friends, my name is Jess. Welcome back to Books Past Bedtime. Today I'm channeling my inner Chandler Ainsley and filming in my car, and I am sorry if the bird noises are kind of loud, but it's too hot to have my window closed, so hopefully it won't be too bad. But we're just going to roll with it. So today I am doing my April wrap-up. But before we jump into the stats and the books I read in April and all of that good stuff, I would like to thank the sponsor of this video, 𝗕𝗄. So 𝗕𝗄 is a new app where you can read and write romance stories. The app itself is free to download, and there are also a lot of free books included on the app. The books on this app are published serially, so chapter by chapter, which makes it a perfect way to read on the go. You can fit in a chapter here or there whenever you have a little bit of extra time. And through the app, you also have the ability to collect coins in order to unlock future chapters in specific books. I guarantee there's something for literally everyone on this app, and the app is very user-friendly. It is sorted into categories. There's lots of tags on different books, so you can search by tag. For example, if you like mafia romances, you can search for mafia romances. If you like motorcycle club, there's that on there as well. Steamy, sweet, there's something for literally everyone. It's a great way to discover your new favorite author, or you can fall back on authors you already love. Authors like 𝗕𝗪 𝗕𝗏𝗧 and 𝗕sse 𝗵𝗍 have books on this app, which is really awesome. You can discover some more of their backlist or newer content. It's also a great way to support indie or self-published authors, which is always something I'm looking to do personally. And the content on here seems endless, so I don't think you will ever run out of a good romance book to read. You can literally read romance to your heart's content. A couple on the app that I found that I added to my TBR are 𝗕𝗓 by 𝗕sse 𝗵𝗍. This book follows Marcus, who is a CrossFit instructor, and Jamie, who is a buttoned-up private school teacher. They both have summer jobs lifeguarding. They meet each other and they really can't stay away from each other, even though they have very different conflicting personalities. So it sounds fun. I am also looking forward to picking up Work for It by 𝗕𝗪 𝗕𝗏𝗧. This book follows Griffin and Kenz, and they have a one-night stand that kind of goes wrong one night, and they end up really disliking each other, and Griffin hopes he never sees Kenz again, but then Kenz walks into his work the next morning and is his new coworker. So he's got to figure out how to deal with that and cope with that, but they might just end up liking each other. And then I also found Queen Takes Rose by Katie Robert. This is a lesbian mafia romance. Need I say more? That sounds right up my alley, and I'm very excited to check that one out as well. So there's definitely something for everyone, and it's definitely worth the download. As I said, it is free to download, and you can use the link in my bio to download the app free of charge. Definitely browse around, check it out, see if it's something you would be interested in. I definitely think you guys would love it. And thank you again, 𝗕𝗄, for sponsoring this video. I'm so excited to be working with you. And now let's just get into my April wrap-up. So April was very much not a great reading month for me. I only read 6 books, which is very low for me, and I'm kind of disappointed with how this month went. But I did really like the books that I read, so I count that as a win. Alright, so let's just jump right into the stats. So in April, I did read 7 books. That is definitely less than usual, and I'm kind of bummed that that's all I managed to read in April, but hopefully May will bring me a better month. But of those 7 books, I read a total of 2,606 pages, and I listened to 31.22 hours of audiobooks on 2 times speed, so about 15 hours of real-time of audiobook listening. My average rating this month was a 3.93. I acquired 3 books. I think those were like my book of the month books. I did not check out any books from the library, but I did read 2 of the books that I got from the library last month. I reread 1 book, and I read 1 book that could be considered own voices. In terms of genre, I read 1 dystopian, 3 romance, and 3 thrillers. As far as author status, I had read 4 of these authors before, and 3 authors were new to me. In terms of format, I read 3 audiobooks, 1 ebook, and 3 physical books. Some of those were mixed together, where I read the physical and listened to the audio, but that's majority what happened. As far as audience, I read 5 adult books, 1 new adult book, and 1 YA book. As far as author identity, I read 1 book by an author that uses he/him pronouns, 5 books by authors that use she/her pronouns, and 1 book by an author that I don't know their gender. In terms of the race of my authors, I read 1 book by an Asian author, 1 book by a Black author, 1 book by a mixed author, 3 books by white authors, and 1 book by an author that I don't know their race. In terms of ratings, I did rate 1 book 5 stars this month, 1 book 4.5 stars, 4 books 4 stars, and then I had 1 lone book down at a 2-star rating. Now I'm going to kind of take this inspiration from Noelle. Noelle is my girl. She's my life inspiration. In her wrap-up videos, she talks about her favorite and least favorite book, but she also talks about her favorite and her least favorite video that she made that month. So I'm going to kind of adopt that in my own wrap-up because I just really like it and I think it's a cool idea. So thanks, Noelle, you didn't agree to this because I didn't ask you, but I'm going to steal it anyway, so thank you. So I think my favorite video this month was probably my like worst performing video, but that was my fearless book recommendations video. I just love Taylor Swift and I love books. So I really liked this video and I think it turned out really well and I really like all of the recommendations I gave. So this was probably my favorite video that I made. Even though it wasn't everybody else's favorite video, I liked it. It's too niche, I think, to be like a popular video on my channel, but I just love it and I think it turned out really cool. And then my least favorite video was probably actually my like reacting to unpopular bookish opinions video. And I liked this video. I definitely thought it was funny and had its moments, but I was also kind of like vulnerable in it and thinking about it makes me feel kind of weird. So it's a fun video, but like it's probably my least favorite one that I made this month for that reason. So let's just jump into what I read this month. I'm gonna go from my least favorite to my favorite book this month. That's how I usually do it and I like doing it that way, so that's what's going to happen. My least favorite book that I read this month was actually You by Is That You Larry. This is a One Direction fanfiction, but I'm counting it because it was freaking 136,000 words, so it was definitely book length, longer than book length, so it counts in my wrap up. And I rated this 2 stars because I did not like it. The writing was just kind of bad. I'm reading it for a purpose though, and that purpose will become clear whenever I get off my ass and actually finish the video, you know? So And now the rest of these books were rated 4 stars or higher, so I did rank them, but I liked them all, so it's not like I didn't like any of these. But so next on my list is Confessions by 𝗕𝗓 𝗏𝗏. This is a thriller. It follows this teacher, and this teacher's daughter was murdered by her students, and so she enacts revenge on her students in this really cruel, terrible way. I really liked this book. It had very interesting writing. I definitely talk more about it in my vlog where I read Savannah's favorite books, because that's why I read this one. It was really very good. I thought the writing style was so cool. It was set in Japan, which was unique for the thrillers that I've read in the past. I really liked that aspect of it as well. My only issue with it was it had HIV fear-mongering in it as an element of like the thriller, and I just felt kind of uncomfortable about that. I feel like if it was any other disease or illness, it wouldn't have been used in that way. Perhaps the commentary on it was to say like it's fear-mongering about HIV was ridiculous, because it did have some information about HIV to kind of like combat the prejudices against it, but at the same time, like having it as an element, as like a twist in the thriller, just overall made me a little bit uncomfortable. So that's why I knocked off a star, because otherwise I thought that this was a really well done thriller, and I thought it was just honestly crazy, one of the wildest things I've ever read, which I like in a thriller. I like my thriller to kind of like push the bar, you know, but that was my only issue with that one. And then next is probably Act Your Age, Eve Brown by 𝗕𝗓 𝗏𝗏. Again, I really loved this one. This is the 3rd book in the Brown Sisters trilogy, and it follows the last sister, Eve. Eve is kind of like quirky and free-spirited. She has difficulty holding down a job, so her parents kind of give her an ultimatum, and this inspires her to go apply for this job at this bed and breakfast, and there she meets the boss named Jacob. Her and Jacob get off to a rocky start, and Eve actually ends up running over Jacob with his car, and so she feels guilty and feels like she has to stay and take care of him, but they end up having this like really cute relationship, and we come to find out that both characters are autistic, so there is some neurodivergence rep, which I really enjoyed. I really liked both Eve and Jacob as characters. I'm not sure if I felt as much chemistry between them as I did between Zaph and Danny, which was my favorite in this trilogy, but I did really like them. I thought their romance was really cute, and I just thought this book was a fun time. Next on my list is probably Scythe by Neal Shusterman. This is a YA dystopian, and it is set in this world where we have eradicated death, and so there are these people called Scythes that go around and kind of cull the population, keep the population from the world from being overpopulated, and we follow our 2 main characters, Citra and Rowan, who are chosen to be Scythe apprentices and to learn like how to be a Scythe. And so this book follows their journey and what this means for them. The Scythe world is also kind of changing and evolving as well. There's a lot of political intrigue in this series. I read it for the Scythe Along that's hosted by Noelle. I'm very behind. I have not made it to any of the live shows, but I'm trying my hardest to be a supportive friend in reading these. This is actually my one reread for the month. I have read this in the past, and I rated it 4 stars again. I do really enjoy it, but it's a little bit like slow for my taste in some ways, and I don't think it's like a favorite series, but I do really enjoy it, and it's a lot of fun, and I think it's really interesting. And I am currently in the middle of Thunderhead. I was hoping to finish that this month too, which is the 2nd book in the series, but unfortunately I did not. So that's next on the list, but I did really like this one a lot and give it 4 stars. I forgot to talk about An Unwanted Guest by Shari Lapena because that is not on my list here in front of me. This one is probably actually below Scythe and maybe Act Eve Brown as well, and maybe even Confessions. I rated this one 4 stars as well, but it was kind of just like a fun 4 stars. This book doesn't have a lot of substance to it. It is a thriller, and it is about all of these characters who are snowed in at this like bed and breakfast boutique hotel, and they start kind of ending up dead one by one. So this is definitely like some of my favorite thriller tropes. So I really enjoyed this book. It just was not like anything new or exciting. So it wasn't like a new favorite, but I really enjoyed it for what it was and thought it was a lot of fun, and would definitely recommend for like beginner thriller readers. But I loved the isolated setting. I loved the snowy atmosphere. And I just liked how I like books where it's very unclear who the perpetrator is, and this definitely had that as well. I really liked this one. This was the first one I finished this month. It's probably lower down on the list though, I just forgot to talk about it. And then next is probably Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. This is one of the wildest, most intense thrillers I have ever read. Basically, it follows our main character, and when she was a kid, her family was murdered, and she blames her brother. She thinks her brother did it, and so she like famously testified against her brother when she was a kid. Basically, now she is 30, and she still is not very well adjusted to life, but then this like armchair detective group contacts her and is like, hey, will you come and speak at our group? We're really interested in your case. And like they're obsessed with the whole true crime aspect of Libby's case. And she goes there, starts hanging out with them. Come to find out, they are like totally and completely convinced that it was not her brother that committed the crime, and their goal is to try and prove that he is innocent. And so they brought her there to like, they assumed she also thought he was innocent and regretted her statement, and like thought she was coached as a child. To be able to survive, Libby has basically convinced herself that her accusing her brother was done rightfully. Like she does believe that it was him, but now with these armchair detectives being like, no, it wasn't your brother, she's trying to question everything that she's believed and told herself in order to survive. And so she kind of spirals and goes on a quest and a mission to figure out if it was her brother that did it or who actually did it, if it wasn't her brother, and trying to just like rectify the situation in her head. And like we don't really know as the reader what to believe either, because we're being told information about her brother. We're also getting her mother's perspective from before the murder. And it's a really interesting and well done book. The only issues I had from it was written in like 2008, so there were definitely some like what would be considered slurs now, particularly against Native American characters, which I found to be difficult to stomach, and I think would definitely be triggering to Native American people reading this book. So just be aware of that going in. I just wasn't really a fan of that kind of racism going on in this book. It was a product of the time. People always say that, but it still is not something I love to read, so that was my only issue with this book. And then my very favorite book that I read in April was Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. This was one of my most anticipated releases of 2021, and I am so glad it lived up to my expectations. This was my 5-star book of the month. It was my favorite book of the month. I absolutely loved it. Now, did it replace The Hating Game as my favorite book? No, I think I still liked The Hating Game more, but I do think I like this love interest, Teddy, slightly more than Josh. He's just like my perfect man. And Josh is like great too, but Teddy has tattoos, so... But basically, this follows our main character, Ruthie. Ruthie is very much a routinized person. She likes her routine. She works at this old folks home as like the receptionist, and she really loves her job. She loves all the people she works with. And so when Teddy, who is the son of the owner of this retirement community, comes in and mixes up her plans and her life and her routine, she is not the biggest fan at first. To kind of sabotage him, she gives him to the Parloni sisters, who are residents at this retirement home, and they go through like boy assistants like nothing. They always run them away because of their like extravagant, wacky requests. So she's like, Teddy won't survive a moment at this job, but really he like trims the socks off of these old ladies, and eventually trims the socks off of Ruthie as well. And Teddy is just like the sweetest. He's like a golden retriever. He just like flops around and thinks Ruthie is like the sun shines out of her ass. Like he is obsessed with her, and that's like my favorite romance trope. I love that so much. And they were just perfect for each other, and this book was so cute, and I loved the old people, and the Parloni sisters cracked me up. They were hilarious, and there's like a really cute twist in this book as well that I loved. I love this book. It was really good. I would definitely recommend you reading it. Also, turtles. I love... The turtles were kind of random, but I honestly loved them. I was a huge fan of this book. I don't think it's taken the throne from The Hating Game, but it was a very, very good follow-up. I liked it a lot. So those were all the books that I read in April. I wish that I had a better reading month in April, but honestly, the things that I read, I really loved. So I'm trying not to be too hard on myself. I feel like I say the same thing every month, but like this whole year has been me adjusting to like working a 9-to-5 job, which I've like never done before in my life. So it's a thing, and it's a hard thing, but we're figuring it out. And hopefully I'll read more in May. But anyway, thank you so much much for watching this video. Don't forget to click the link in my bio and download the Kiss app. And thank you so much, Kiss, for sponsoring this video. I'm really excited to keep checking out their app and seeing what more books are on there. So don't forget to download that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. All relevant links will be in the description down below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter to keep up with me on the day-to-day, and subscribe to this channel and like this video if you liked it. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.